Am I live? Mic test, mic test, mic test. Am I live? Alright, if I am live, hello everybody, hello, hello. So again, if I'm live on YouTube, so hello everybody, hello, hello. Okay, so you guys might notice that my mic is a little bit different today, maybe, because my streamer mic broke, so I have to use my old headset mic. Let me know if it's usable, okay? So today we'll be going over something. Just I want to get this over very quickly because again, my mic is not the best today, I think, and as well as I don't know when this mic will run out of power. So just a lot of things that I want to try to get things done today, and plus there isn't really too much to talk about today aside from M Hero Prime. And of course, if you're watching this in the future, just know everything I talked about will be timestamped in the comments and in the descriptions. So when you watch your own stream, make sure everything is functioning normally. And yeah, and of course, if you have any questions that you couldn't caught the stream, you can always ask me in the down in the comments and in the description. So, and again, I really hope my mic is working at the moment. So let me watch your own stream, make sure my mic is actually working. Okay. Okay, it seems like it is working surprisingly. I didn't think. I thought there'll definitely be things happening. So, I'm gonna make the sound a little bit louder, like the music a little louder. Hopefully that is fine, okay? Hopefully that is fine. You know what? I'll just watch my own video again. Test. Mic test. Mic. Okay, okay. The sound's a little bit loud, so I'm just gonna tone it down just a little bit. The background music just a little bit, cause little bit. Hopefully that's good now. Hopefully, up to negative 40. All right, hopefully that's good. All right, so today, let's just get right into it. There isn't that much news anyway, so I'm gonna show myself real quick. Mic test, mic test. I see you. Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Evie, Queen Wolfie, welcome, welcome. So today's stream is not like it's less about what's it called oh whoa hold on, let me yeah, it's less about I guess like other stuff. Is mainly about the game that I'm playing, Iron Saga. So it wouldn't be something that's more fun. It is mainly just that is mainly educational, I guess. If you know what I'm saying. So anyway, I hope I also hope the YouTube chat is working. I hope of course just feel free to ask any questions. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, I know. So thanks so much for coming by, and thanks so much for follow on Instagram as well. Thank you. But again, so today, or at least on this channel, the stream that I'll be doing are more educational instead of more fun, like ASMR and such, right? Because this one is mainly about thank you. Alright, anyway. So, um, yeah, thank you. But yeah, let's, what's it called? Let's start with the gun. So today, there's only one thing to go over, which is, M Hero Prime, which is a very surprising, release on NC. Oop, not Bunny? Yeah, not Bunny, yep, that's me. The M Hero Prime actually is a thing that that has surprise release for various reasons. I don't know the exact reason. I think it's something about the banner skins being like I guess yeah, the banner skins being um mismatched, and because now that NC has switched to what's it called, um thank you for the thank you for the emo, thank you. But see, now that the Iron Saga's the so alright, good. um So because now that the battle pass has switched to not skins, but for before whatever this thing is, the has switched into skins for the mech. So because of that, Ian has to make some adjustments to have to like to need to get out to get out the banner units earlier. Now I don't know how we'll be able to get its I guess its icons for the profile picture, but how do you say? We'll see how we'll see how Ian goes, because that is very unexpected, and this would definitely be different between or I guess the suggestions of for the free rolls will definitely be a bit different compared to when it was in and in NC. Like how I said before, that in NC, how I say, yeah, in NC, the free rolls are usually going towards Griffith, but because now there's MP or Spark in the mix, it might not be, or depending on what you want to roll, it might be different between Griffith and MP or Spark. Boop. Yeah. What's it called? Also, I might not be able to respond, all the time to chats because I'll be going over, the mecha. But every time I finish up, every time I finish, every time I finish a thing, I'll be talking about it. Every time I finish thing, I'll be answering the questions. So, all right. Well, without further ado, let's get started. Now, okay. So before anything, right? Before anything happens, I want to say that. So I think a lot of people will be asking, now that Pure Spark is usable using the free rolls, right? So should I use it on should I use it on Pure Spark or should I use it on Griffith? Because Griffith technically, like, it's a bit, I guess, not outdated, but like Pure Spark is more modern and it's a future, like a more future mecha than Griffith. So also for Griffith, I'll just say RG from now on because I don't want to say it's built like whatever name it is. But for Hero Spark, I'll just say Hero Spark. Okay. So I'll probably be making this into video. So who should you choose between the free rolls for RG and for Hero Spark? Now, Hero Spark being a unit that come out later, so it is a little bit stronger and it have a bit more staying power in the PvP meta. However, you gotta take into account that Hero Spark requires pretty much at the minimum 8 stars. Yeah, 8 stars to unlock all of its maximum functionalities. Well, the last one being HP, which is still very important, but it is at least just a stats buff instead of something that you need. Because Hero Spark require its second weapon upgrade in order for you to activate. Yeah, it needs its let me see what it is. Yeah, it needs this thing. It needs this whole map thing weapon here in order to I guess be even stronger, right? Because after it transforms, every time it does a counter, it will use that weapon, which is a very strong weapon because it is a AOE full map AOE that can also stun enemies if they don't have chain or something that can immune to status effects. So that is very, very important to have for Hero Spark. That's why again you need minimum of 8 star, if not 9 star, because again HP are also very important. So however, for Griffith or for RG, right? RG, even though it is slightly less, even though it lasts slightly less longer than Pure Spark, because it is an earlier unit that came out. For Pure Spark, you don't need the weapons and you don't need the HP. Well, you do, but it would be the same thing with Pure Spark, right? Both Pure Spark's HP and weapon. Or no, like yeah, for RG's weapons and for its its HP. Its HP just adds its stats just like Pure Spark does, so that it can neutralize out between them, right? But for the weapons, RG don't really need the weapons because even though it does high damage, it is still just stats increase. So even I think some of these weapons are used during actions as well. So there might be slightly less damage from your actions, but at least you can still use the actions, right? So it is not something that is so yeah, it is just a pure damage increase compared to Pure Sparks, where it is a really good weapon, not because it does it does damage, but also because the amount of CC potential that it can do, and it is the whole map counter as well. So basically, Pure Spark require 8 star or more, while RG technically you can use it as 7 star because at 7 star or even at 5 star, it already has a built-in Byron Awaken skills, from its first chassis. So for your free rolls, it will depending on how much resource you have left and depending on how much you like, different between each units. So for Hero Spark, you want 8 star. That means you want to have at least 300 more rolls or something, because if you get unlucky, it might take that much in order to get get it to 8 stars, but you want to have enough, like if you want to use free rolls on MP or Spark, you want to have enough resources to see if you can get to 8 star. Otherwise, I really suggest you just get, Griffith. Because for Griffith, right, for RG, right, even if you only get 1 copy from the free rolls, they can just save. Because, how do you say it? Like, let's say if you get 1 copy from the free rolls, right? You had the option to, of course, go for more, and 7 stars only need 2 copies, which might still cost a lot, but I think it's better than getting only 1 copy of MP or Spark, and you need to roll 3 more copies. And for RG, if you only get 1 copy, it is already usable in 5-star limited because it already has the built-in Byron skill. So technically you can just stop there and just save, and you don't need to go for the 7 stars. And let's say if you get 2 in the free rolls, then you can just get 1 more for the 7 star, which I think will be a more safe options, right? Of course, both of these units will be better at 9 star due to the HP, stats increase and the powerful weapons. But again, RG, M Hero Spark is way more dependent on 8 to 9 star compared to RG, where again, if you get 2 copies, or if you already get 3 copies from the free rolls, then you're set. So, in my opinion, depending on I guess it really depends on your situations, right? If you are fine, like if you have a lot of resources that you want to spend, and you also like M Hero Spark, then go for M Hero Spark. It will be a longer lasting unit. But if you, let's say if you're a free to play, you have not as much resources, right? Then I will suggest you go for RG, because RG again is already usable as 7 star, if not 5 star at certain limited arenas. So that's the differences between my suggestions of M Hero Spark and which I actually have a I actually have a text about it, which if you guys want to see it, you guys can see it here as well. So where is it? I'm trying to find it. So yeah, I have it right here because Bear asked a very good question. Yeah, Bear asked a question. See, if GD are silly enough to give us free roll on Spark, for free tickets, would it be a better or longer lasting investment than RG? Then I said, Mass Hero Spark, or Jesus, yeah, M Hero Spark kind of wants 8 star to 9 star way more than RG, because RG is technically used by 7 star, and so even though M Hero Spark might be a longer lasting, might be a better investment for PvP, there's also the dupe amount that you need to put in considerations, and here I had the reason for that as well. So that's just for your free rolls, because I'm pretty sure that's a question that people will ask as well. Also, shout out to Snake's video as well. So yeah, alright, so with that out of the way, let's get into M Hero Spark. Hit you. Also, welcome Snake, welcome. Alright, so M Hero Spark, how good is it? I already said, it is pretty good in PvP. It can do damage, it can, do crazy amount of CC, so it also protect against, EMCCs, which, I mean, is not really common nowadays, or for a CC, but it is still something, and plus, it can also, give enemies, unnegatable, CCs. So, yeah, the Predator's effect defies, debuff resistance. So, pretty good unit overall. However, the one thing that it really lacks is if you're looking, into its, chassis, right? So it have, the usual 40%, damage increase and damage reduction. It got the usual, HP scaling with damage now. So the more HP the units have, the more damage that it will do in PvP, because it adds final damage value. And so for the first chassis, one of the its saving or its surviving move is that when after receiving damage, it will boost his action recovery speed and performs guarantee evasion for a short time, which it will just be dodging a lot of units, effectively being immunity to damage. However, this doesn't, like, although this sounds strong, although this sounds like a get out of jail skill and such like that, it is not an immunity. That's the reason why when you go into builds, when you're building it, you have to really take this into account, because when you compare this unit to something like RG or Hound of Sigma, or like units like that, those units have HP rubber banding, which is probably stronger than damage immunities. So on the defensive department, MQ Spark are actually a little bit more lacking, in that department compared to, even recent units. And people are surprised that how MQ Spark was able to stay alive for so long in PvP, but that was due to a bug in NC. So, just a heads up, But without the bugs, you kind of have to rely on certain skills in order for it to exist in PvP, because again, compared to Hound of Sigma, compared to RG, it might have a even worse a time on surviving, the current PvP metas. So, and of course, and then on his last or its first chance, his last skill is in 30 seconds after entering battle, transfer into MP or Spark, like the super boost version, which is pretty awesome. This skill was actually not that great back then because I think it takes like 60 minutes to go into the form or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the exact time, but now with the buff, that's actually better now. Now this thing is pretty good, but the thing is, you kind of have to let your MP Spark live for 30 seconds, which pretty sure those who play top PvP knows that it might not. It is not always a guarantee, right? And even when it does change into it, right? Compared to Hanexima, compared to some other units, that would be tankier. Lately, it might still not be able to have enough survivabilities on that front. Which again, it will go into the builds on what you need to build for it to survive more, right? So. But yeah, so this is not too this is not too but anyway, not too bad for a first for like a or I guess just average for a unit that is in this era. But let's go into second chapter. So the second chapter, which I talked about the stats gains already. So upon entering the battle, Joel's enemy instantly end render 28% EM attribute damage received for them, as well as extend their action by 2 seconds for the rest of the battle. Now that's the second part of that. That's the really good one because again, extending action CDs is always a pretty strong debuff, especially against the units like Hongwen such now. So that's pretty good. You can so basically it will work by just existing on the field, which can be especially good in 6v6, right? Even if it dies, the debuff is still the debuff for the enemy are still there. And once every 2 seconds, apply paralysis to both the target and to both the target unit and itself. Which when the unit is paralyzed, it will heal and it will cleanse, I think, debuff or something. Yeah, or you'll just cleanse it and then recover some HP. So basically, it'll just heal cell and of course apply paralysis effect to the enemies, and that effect will be unnegatable, which is pretty good in both PvP and PvE. Now in PvP, although it is like in PvP, I don't think there is a unit. Or, because it goes to debuff, I'm not really sure if there's anything that can really counter against it. So that's pretty good. But again, how do you say? I guess that's the only thing that's really going for it for this skill. The self, although it is immune to paralysis itself, the heal art is not really that substantial. Of course, unless you're going against another MP or Spark or something. So, all right, so not too bad. Can do damage, can do good CCs, and can kind of tank a little bit, but it's into this meta is not the best tank in the world. But it is still be able to it's an up-to-date unit. It is an up-to-date unit, and it is still being used. I'm not sure about now, but like at least I'm still using it a little bit last month. So yeah, not too bad. Its weapons, I already talked about before it got to or I guess I already talked about the most important one before, the I think it's this one, the mega weapon, that basically whenever it does a counter, during its transform state, it will use this move, which is, hold on, it's not the one. Yeah, it will use this move, which is pretty important to have for the second weapons, because you don't get that from without upgrading the second weapons, right? So, for the other skills, I believe some of them are from Justice Magenta. I think I don't remember exactly how it was, but I don't remember it being anything too special, right? If it is anything too special or comparable for or I guess more notable compared to today's units, I don't think it is anything too special. Now that the transform is also considered action that I don't remember what was the bug, or I guess what was the thing for it, but I think it will just cut your own action like your own XO from it if you were to transform during the XO or something. I don't remember the exact detail, but there is something funny about that. Whether it is good for this unit or not good for this unit, I don't really remember. But I don't think that matters that much, in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. But again, action is nothing too, nothing too noteworthy of. Alright, so that should be it about M Hero Spark. Just a modern, just a modern good CC unit that can also, do other stuff as well. So in today's meta, right, or in the meta in the future even, right, its role is like, if you want it to do damage, it was not gonna be doing more damage than something like, Yoshi, right? It's not gonna be doing more damage than Yoshi. It's not even gonna be doing more damage than, RG, right? Where's RG? Yeah, it's not gonna be doing more damage than RG. It's not gonna be, more tankier than Thunder Lake. It's also not gonna be, both for Gunbusters. However, it is probably the best CC out of the bunch, because of the unnegatable paralysis and for just the overall paralysis to make sure, like, if the enemy are not using anything that can anti-paralysis, that can technically be a problem. So yeah, so I would I also keep this unit in my team just because if there's anything lacking about the modern the modern settings of the team is the lack of CC for the lack of other CC aside from using the aside from the force knockdowns during the XO and such. So yeah, so I guess for the builds, right? For the builds, now knowing that it is not the one doing damage, it is not the one tanking, the builds I go for is just purely, first of all, it had to survive, right? First of all, it had to live, and also after it can live, I'll be letting it do more CC duration. This is the reason why I'm using this green part that can extend paralysis time, because otherwise, I mean, what other thing you can use? I guess you can use this thing, the other CC parts. But in my opinion, I want to go for full CCs against against enemies. So that's why I'm using paralysis duration increase, and other stuff and the other stuff are usually just letting it exist, which I'll go into each one to explain more. So, and the reason why and don't worry about Ryoma Awaken. Ian doesn't have it yet, but when he does when his Awaken does come into Ian, then now he isn't really the top the top pilot for this unit now. One of the main biggest thing is that he also lacks good defensive abilities, which what's called which M Hero Spark that desperately needs, but they are still a very good pair if you want a more offensive and a more CC focused M Hero Spark. Now most people use it with the support pilots. Now I was a little bit confused about that at first, but then I realized, yeah, because where the hell where else would you put your support units, right? Because considering your DPS would be probably something with something with Hongwu, like Hong Yoshi, your tank will be a tanky unit and a tanky pilot, and your other powerhouse will also be with the other powerhouses. So think about it that way, then I think, yeah, a support pilot will probably be on M Hero Spark, if anything, right? Or I mean, not, at least nowadays, I think Feng Huang is back up again, so I guess most support pilot will be on Feng Huang. But if you want to CC units, I guess Ryoma or both a support pilot will work as well. So, alright, so now let's get into the build. So the reason why I'm using the charge core, or whatever this core is in English, the one where it adds the most amount of HP, and when you use active skill, it will go into the enemies. Now the reason why I use this, aside from its HP increase for the stats, right, is because Ryoma's skill actually has a really old funny stuff. Like, see, let me find it. So when I use active skill, hold on, hold on, yeah, you guys can see how crazy the CC is when you have Ryoma on. Okay, so let's use this one. Let's use active skill, and you can see I go into it while also using a lot of the. I think it's easier to use the stronger unit. So let's use something like hopefully can tank it. Hopefully this guy can tank it. I don't even think so, but let's go. You can see that. So you can see that it is basically a nuke that's going into the enemy because and because Ryoma will be shooting all of his weapons and such on on M Hero Spark, and it'll continuously to trigger a lot of M Hero Spark skills, I believe. So no, not skill, but like um it it would just be a nuke going into the enemies, which is the strategy that has been used back then with Paimon and such like or some other stuff. But now that you can technically be used again with Ryoma because Ryoma's active skill is actually pretty it's actually not too bad. Um, and of course, the HP increase will also, increase the damage stats for M Hero Spark, which you also want. Although it might not be although damage might not be as raw, it can still do damage. So you might as well give it a little bit more damage potential using more HP. And if you're not using Ryoma, then just go for something like Discord just to save you more life, and also just give you more HP for more DPS and survivability as well. So either Discord or if you're going for Ryoma, then you can go for Charged Core for the nuke thing. So you can use other ones like you can use the purple joint, of course. You can also use something like what is it called? You can even use something like this one, but like I don't really think there's a point because M Hero Spark already or Mario units already have like its like action like I guess be consistent with each other, so I don't really think you need like action cooldown might not even be like that important anymore, especially for units that doesn't need but that isn't using Byron or Hongu or some skill that related to action CD spams. Like for example with Yoma or with support pilots. So that because you're not using or I guess your Hongu or your Byron will be on better units. That's why I'm not using any, or that's why I'm not recommending using action cooldown skills on this unit instead of using, and instead using either, again, Ryoma nuke or using a better lifesaver core. Now for the bullets. Again, I don't really think the bullets I'm using are the best choice because the enemy can easily build around anti-paralysis, which will render this kind of not as effective. So if you want to, you can use the thing that they suggest you, like the claw for more, for more survivabilities. Or, but in my opinion, I kind of want to make this purely for CCs. So for me, it would either be the hammers or for the EM duration increase. So that's what I'll be using. But of course, if you're using it on like a support pilot, then you can probably go for the claws. And if you wanted to do more damage, right, just pure more damage, then you can obviously use something like the Super Robot Fist for more damage on that. Which actually no, I don't think this matters that much anymore because if you have enough HP, you should have enough damage to max out its from steel. So maybe not, yeah. Okay, again, it would depend on your build, I guess. But yeah, just claws, this thing, or hammer. In my opinion, that should be the ones. I think there's probably more that I can try. Like you can probably even use this one, but yeah, the 39% chance to have the link or to have the lightning string, that isn't anything into this meta now. So I don't really think that is that worth it. So I think that should be it about bullets. So yeah. Alright, now to the support. Now to the support part. Actually, I don't know. Okay, maybe this will work as well. Maybe Esco might work as well for just some more debuff on the enemies. That can potentially work, but I think it's more consistent to just go for claws or go for more CC parts. And then now for the support. So now support, I'm just using the battery just for more so abilities. If you don't have it, then use a drill. And if not, you can use the the HP, the purple this thing add HP and some CC to and CC abilities. Or if you really are not, or if you really don't have anything, maybe even the emergency dash if you lack other stuff. You don't need any other stuff because you don't need Chang's because it already has anti CC. So so that should be the support. I'm just using this because it's the most universal. And then now for the armor is just Firm Steel into this meta. You kind of just want to use Firm Steel. I don't really think there's any other ones I can use. Of course, you can use this one, but you need a Firm Steel somewhere, which you kind of, again, you can use it on your support skill, but again, I'll get into why you want to use this support skill or this co-pilot skill, because yeah, this unit desperately needs defensive abilities. So that's why I think Firm Steel should be the one that's on it most of the time. And then now for the coding, so the coding is of course Gaia code, just for even more, survivabilities with how many knockdown units, with how many knockdown skills we have now. This just can make you survive just a little bit longer. And of course, if you don't have this one, just the one that has the most HP should work as well. So yeah, you good. And now for the pest. I'm using the snake. The reason why I'm using snake is because, again, the unit itself doesn't technically have any damage, immunity or negation or rubber bandings, right? So by having the snake, it can prevent your Impure Spark from dying too fast, maybe, hopefully, right? Because every 10% damage it takes, or like for the HP, it will kind of lock, or it'll kind of rubber band your HP there for a little bit. So that is quite important, I think, for for Impure Spark, or else it might not survive longer than Hound of Sigma or something, because dodging or attack, that thing into this meta is not exactly the best, anymore, compared to just purely be purely be locking your HP, or purely being immune to damage and such, right? So that's the reason why I'm using this. I mean, you can use other ones, like you can use Snake, you can use even this one, you can even use Pisces, you can even use the other usual DPS, or I guess PvP pets, right? But I'm not trusting my Impure Spark survivabilities in this meta, so I'm using the Snake, especially after the bug patch. I think Snake is even more important, because if you're using Pisces, let's hope you can do damage before you die, right? So yeah, so I'm gonna use Snake to survive a little bit more. And then now on to the co-pilot skill. Now the co-pilot skill I'm using is this one. After 7 attacks, or when it takes 7 attacks, it will clear aggro and be immune to damage for 1.4 seconds with the cooldown of 3.4 seconds. Now that's a very strong skill to keep your units alive. And you kind of especially need this for Impure Spark, right? Like, even, I mean, of course, the damage negation part is important. Like, it's very important. But also the clearing aggro's, because your Impure Spark, especially with Ryoma on, or support pilots on, are not going to survive. They are not going to survive like 2 units or even 3 units gaining up on you, because yeah, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, not with Impure Spark, right? For Gunbuster, for Lancelot, for even Harold Sigma, you can probably do it, but not with Impure Spark. Impure Spark, if it gains up, or if it get targeted, it can die pretty quickly, even after transformations. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm using this. I don't really think there's any other one that is good. If you don't have this one, if you don't have this unit, then just go for something that like go for another life, right? Go for Rewind, right? Go for what is Rewind? Go for Rewind like this thing. Go for Rewind like this, or go for Rewind. Just something that can give you an extra life. The usual other top PvP, but if you have this unit, like, right, if you have this co-pilot skill, where is she again? Yeah, if you have the where is, yeah, if you have her, I really suggest using her defense, because again, your M hero Spark gonna need it. It also gives damage immunity that M hero Spark that doesn't have, right? And combine this along with the snake thing, that can be a pretty good survivability skill. That can help it survive more into this meta. So yeah, or else one blast from Fafnir, it might be the end for it might be the end for M hero Spark, right? So. And as long as it can be alive, right? As long as it can be alive, it will be able to start, doing CC on enemies, right? For example, it can be start doing, every 2 seconds, they can start stunning. Then Slot can start stunning, M Hero Spark, or not even sure. They can start stunning RG, can start stunning, Hammer Sigma and such, right? So you gotta keep it alive first with the snake and with the co-pilot skill before it can be start doing DPS, or even doing being or even being support. So yeah. I saw some questions in the chat. Again, I'll get through the PvP part, then I will answer all the questions. Okay. So right now, because Ian doesn't have Ryoma Awaken here yet, which I'll get into Ryoma Awaken, when it comes to Ian. Actually, I don't even know. I haven't read the patch notes yet, but if it already came, then I'll explain it in another video. But if not, I'll just talk about it, now. So let's find so people has been using her on it, right? And for her, the build will be definitely different, right? For support pilot, or just for support pilots, right? When you have a support pilot on, Nez and Ryoma, then I think you can probably you kind of have to go for even more survivabilities in this case, because it is a support pilot and you're not using Ryoma, which will go for a bit more offensive, right? So same thing, because she has a defense, so you can actually use Mori on as well. So you got the same, the life-saving setup. And of course, I'm using this core just for even less damage taken for the enemy nearby. And of course, I'm using the claw in order to just get some HP back. Hopefully, in case I take a lot more damage. So yeah, so this is the build I will go for if I were to be using a silver pilot on it. Of course, you can still go for more CC on it as well. Like for example, you can go for I don't really think you should use this one, because I think it'll be better if you use Ryoma along with this bullets. But let's see if but you can use something like the hammers in order to do more CCs onto the enemies, right? But I think claw might be a little bit more safer, just so you can get a little bit more HP backs. So that's the reason why. So basically, this is the build I will go for if I'm going for a support pilot on it, and the support pilot better have a defensive skill, because I don't really think Imperial Spark can survive as well in top PvP without the snake or something equivalent, right? Something equivalent as tanky that can make your units be with with builds. So. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to Ryoma, because I think Ryoma, even though more people are using it with Silver Pilot Sam, I'm using it with Ryoma just because disease, I don't need support as long as the enemy is all dead. And even then, if I were to using support pilots now, it would be on Feng Huang. So yeah, I'm just putting it back on Ryoma because just keep in mind, in top PvP is not really use it that much anymore. So yeah. But I'm still using this just because I kind of want to. Alright, so that should be the general builds. Again, the builds here it's not going to cover against every team. It's not going to cover against, every single situation. But it is the closest, I think, to a generalistic build. For, depending on your situation, or depending on what you want its role to be. So, right now, let's get into the PvE builds. But for now, I'm going to answer some questions. So we're getting this main center of RG. We will see. Yeah, we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see if there's any difference between NC and Ian. My guess is that after Tamamo banner ended, we will still get RG. Hopefully, we'll still do that. If we don't get RG, then go roll for Imperial Spark. But let's wait until Tamamo's banner ends to see if we get RG. During the free roll durations. So, got hero. Oh, I see if we're gonna log in today. Thanks. Logging for yeah. So, theoretically, it should come after Tamamo's banner is gone. So yeah, definitely save until then, right? Because you will still have a few days left for the before the free rules expires. Alright, so now let's get into the PvE builds. Now, the PvE builds mainly just DPS because it can HP stats, HP increase final damage reduction, or final damage value. That's DPS. So now you don't really need or if you want to have an Ian team, you don't really need to use, what's the guy called again? The Taka whatever, the Red Thunder guy, right? So because this is not the DPS for Ian DPS. So the DPS build is just simple, just pound damage increase, fist for damage increase, and just HP for more final damage increase, pets final damage increase, and for the Cobra Skill, just attack increase, the best one you have, whichever skill that can give you the most attack you have, and bam, done. That's how you do the DPS skill. Now I don't know the difference between using this support versus using the fist. So I guess you can test it out to see which one do better. The fist, the green fist, this fist, or or this one. See which one do more damage, then do it. But I'm just going for 4 HP because just show you guys something like this, right? Something like this can work. And the reason why I'm putting auto in the back is because you want this unit to come out later, right? If you come out later, now okay, this is a problem that you'll run into if you're gonna be using this as a DPS. Is because again, conquest bosses usually come out a bit later after so that means a lot of the unit, a lot of skill that triggers as the unit come into the field might not work on the boss, right? So the reason why I'm putting this on the back, but usually you don't want to put a DPS in the back because you will also miss a lot of the initial buff for your team. Of course, you can build a team around that, of course, and if you do, then that should be fine. So, but just heads up because you do want Imperial Spark to come in later for for the boss to be debuffed by the EM stuff. So yeah. So that should be the DPS build. Of course, of course, you can also use them on in the initial things, but just know that the boss won't get the debuff from M Hero Spark. Now this is a more CC build for the EM team. So again, you have to if you want to make it a CC, then you definitely want it to come in later down the match, right? So you definitely want to put it in the back. So you'll come into the match when the boss is already on field, and just something like this would just be something like this would just be a good CC for the boss because like it is able to CC the boss pretty well, especially for EM team. Or I guess only for EM team, I guess. And the thing is, right? Some people might be able to use this unit as a funnel, right? As a funnel for EM team because they can come in later, the boss kill it, and your team will still get, or it will still get a debuff for the second chassis. However, I don't trust the boss to kill a freaking 6-star Impure Spark within 30 seconds because once it transforms, yeah, there's no hope the boss can even do anything about that anymore. So yeah, I don't trust the boss unless you get the boss so strong that it can guarantee to kill Impure Spark at 6-star, consistently. Then maybe at that time, but for now, I don't think the boss is strong enough to do that yet. So, and plus we're not going to be using EM team all the time, right? So I don't think that's so I don't think that's worth it, right? To use it as a to use it as a funnel. So that's why I'm using it either on a boss CCs, right? Just use a boss CC build, or using it as an EM DPS, something like that. So that's the reason why for the PvE team, there's a two kind of PvE team, and of course the PvE team which I was talking about, and that should be it for today. I think I covered everything for today. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. I'll try to answer them as I cover the new pilot from the last match, and after I'll just cut it a day because I don't want the stream to go for too long. All right, so the new pilot that we got for Ian is what's it called where is Solomon, right? Solomon, yeah, Solomon. We got Solomon. Good support pilot. Yeah, good support pilot. I think most of his support pilots are pretty good, depending on the situations, right? Some of them does have some requirements, like for example, the last one, but it is a pretty good skill. Maybe not the best, but it is still PvPable as even top PvPs. So, not a unit that I think you should get right away. Using Heartbox or using bars, but it is something that can just look after, right? Like if you ever see her to come in bar, maybe give a little bit more gift, maybe give it like a chocolate or something in order to get potentially get him faster in the bars. So, but not something that you should go roll a lot for, right? Save those tickets, save those boxes for collabs. Will be a better option than than to roll for this unit. But otherwise, good unit, yeah, good unit. Probably even better than the collab co skill for PvP. So yeah. All right, so that should now that should be it for everything. All right. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. If not, I would just end the stream because I am tired. I was trying to find my mic the entire time, but I wasn't able to. So yeah. There's also some update that we'll talk about. See like the free like the free or like the free bar refresh changes and such. But those, yeah, those we can wait for another time as well. Yeah. Alright, if no question, then I will. Jesus Christ, yeah. If no question, then I will call it a day. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. And goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Nice. Yeah. So tired. Got everything.